All right, the sacral center, if you have this undefined, that means you are either a reflector, a manifestor, or a projector. Because generators and manigens are the only ones that have this defined. And so the undefined people, all of us, we make up about 30-ish% of the population. And 70% is generators with their defined sacral. And so we are in the minority, and we get conditioned by this energy all of the time. So this is another big one to unpack and to understand how you're showing up in it. And it's fascinating once you start leaning into the center. And this one can also show up in an unhealthy way for generators and manifesting generators, because with your sacral authority, you are meant to respond to life. You're meant to listen to that gut reaction, but it doesn't always make sense. And in our society, we've conditioned people to say, be logical. We have this condition that we need to make decisions in our head, but that's not where we're meant to make decisions. It doesn't keep us in our highest expression of self at all. And so a lot of people with defined sacrals have a hard time listening to it because they've conditioned themselves out of it. Either their undefined centers are taking over because those voices are much louder, or they've just been conditioned out of listening to it because it doesn't make as much logical sense as the mind. So this can be a good one to look at, either undefined or to make sure that you have a healthy expression of it as a defined sacral person. So this one is all about it's all about creativity, about lust for life, about enjoying life, about pleasure and joy and excitement, and also working. A defined sacral, like a generator or a manigen who's in their zone and just plugged in, workhorses, man, like they can knock stuff out. It's amazing. And so with the undefined center, if you're around a defined sacral, then again, life is drawing you in through this center. You are taking in information about this center and magnifying it. And so with this one, you might wonder why when you're around certain people, you can work, but then you're exhausted when you leave their space or when you come home. It's because of that, because you're drawing in the sacral energy and magnifying it, but it's not yours to utilize. So your system's a little wonky. It's like, where's all of this coming from? And so if you don't realize you're doing it, it can really wear things out. I actually experienced this just recently. It was really cool, but I'm starting to really pay attention to my centers and what's showing up. So this can be one to really dive deep into. If you know that you're in your not self with this, if you are just going, even though you're tired or exhausted and you just don't know when to stop. You don't know when enough is enough. Workaholics can show up in this unhealthy space, or just doing anything too much, overeating, over shopping, over exercising even. It all leads to burnout because you don't know when enough is enough. You also have unrealistic expectations because you just keep going. So with this one, ask yourself, do I know when enough is enough? And if you don't really, then it might be time to step back and to understand what's happening in your healthy center. And so always go back to your strategy and authority to make sure that you're in the correct space for you, that you're in the correct work environment for you, and make changes from there. So many people need to just stop for a minute. Like taking a nap is totally fine. Maybe you need to take a little break from work for 15-20 minutes, or maybe longer. I don't know. If you're undefined sacral and you have been conditioned by the sacral people around you, this might take a while to decondition. I'm going to be honest with you, because there's a lot of self-worth that comes through this. If you have that undefined heart as well, then this can match up. You're thinking, if I don't work enough, then I won't be valuable enough, and then I'll lose my job, and then I'll lose my family, and then everything will just go to shit. But that's not true. And maybe if it is, then it needed to happen. Maybe the fact that you're overworking yourself to keep these things afloat means that they're not meant to float. A healthy and thriving sacral is all about creativity and pleasure and passion and being in your interest. and lighting up the world. A healthy generator who is like inside of their passion is so incredibly magnetic. It's amazing and beautiful. So a healthy undefined sacral, this means that you're taking in that creativity and that passion from the world around you and letting things flow out that aren't for you, and then keeping those gold nuggets of what lights you up. Okay, so again, if you find yourself in the not self, if you find yourself overworking yourself, doing anything too much, and leading to burnout, then ask yourself, do I know when enough is enough? And go from there. Hop on Marco Polo if you need me to help process, or if you want to share an aha. And next, after this one, we will go to the solar plexus center.